Okay. Well, Nancy wanted me to record a little bit in honor of Shawn Paul Maher's 50th birthday, and especially since there will be no representation from the Dowds, I especially wanted to at least weigh in video-wise. Took a few notes because actually this narrative could go back quite a ways. Since Shawn and I have known each other since the 4th grade, 10 years old, and the breadth and scope of the kind of things I could share are a little bit mind-boggling. Aiden, that's something. Don't worry, in a few short years I'll give you the the uncensored version, the R version. But not being very clear if who's going to watch this, and because I am on record as one of Shawn's character references with the FBI, I didn't want to screw that up. I did tell them, by the way, that you did not inhale, Shawn. Anyway, when I think of Shawn, I think of a lot of things, and a couple of notes. I could go on and on about his dysfunctional family, or the time that sometime around middle school age we were playing ping pong in his basement, shooing the epileptic dog Clancy out of the way, and ping pong ball went back somewhere. I think Dan Reisman was with us, and one of us fetched the ball, and there was a cat in a litter of about 8 kittens, and I said, "Oh, where'd you get a cat?" Sean's like, "We don't have a cat." That's or the fact that Shawn was quite an athlete. He really, seriously, he had something that you can't learn or compensate for, and that's heart. He really did. But most of the sports other than running or cross-country skiing, Shawn washed out awfully quickly because his eye-hand coordination was off. In fact, he might still be making a living playing basketball, but we could never get Shawn to understand that there were no points on foul shots for merely hitting the backboard, and you had to get it in the hoop. And he had this really funky, but he was convinced. And actually, as I do that, I'm flooded with all these other memories, including Shawn's running and this Kenyan runner, Ben Jipcho, who Shawn was convinced was going to revive the very much needing to be resuscitated Yorktown cross-country and track teams. Or the time that we pulled an all-nighter at Fawnstock State Park as seniors in high school. Mind you, in those days, all-nighters had nothing to do with staying up to study. We just stayed up. And the next morning when we woke up on the rocks near one of the streams in the state park, I don't know if it was me taking a leak on Shawn or Shawn taking a leak on me, and what the heck. What's an exchange of bodily fluids between two intimate friends? What else? Then there's Harvard. And how the hell did that happen? I mean, after all, I got in on merit. Shawn got in on, sports or something like that. In fact, and Shawn was such a diligent student. He had that same athletic quality of heart that we told many. In fact, it's mid-year, second semester. Several people were going, "Who's that guy?" And we're like, "Oh, that's Shawn. That's one of our suite mates." And I came up with the nickname Young Tragedy because if you wanted to find Shawn Paul Maher, you just merely had to look in the card catalog that particular month to see where in the stacks of Widener Library Shawn was registered or filed that month. And again, I could go on and on, but the story that I want to share, which captures the essence of our college days. Another thing that comes to mind, I think Shawn was the oldest male in the first world who did not have a driver's license. Dan Reisman, who's probably in attendance, will attest to that. As well as the fact that until he was probably his early 30s, Shawn could carry all of his belongings, all of himself in a backpack, rather. there easily. But the thing I want to share again, to go back to, is I want to talk about essence or fragrance, because Shawn Paul Maher redefined body odor. Okay, and to set the stage, you know, as many of the very astute, profound, esoteric even conversations would be had, they'd usually take place in our common living room in Dunster House, where we'd all be hanging out. There may have even been an alcoholic beverage or two consumed. Probably not by Shawn, which is a little frightening, thinking he participated in many of these conversations, lucid and coherent. So anyway, there was one particular time where we were sitting around, and Shawn was way out in front of the curve health-wise. He knew that most deodorants or antiperspirants had some kind of, you know, aluminum compound, and most of us will be losing our marbles or otherwise deteriorating health-wise because we smelled good, but Shawn, of course, will stay bright and lucid and